Hello, everybody. Welcome to Thursday Night Live with Bill Tucci.
Behold his mighty hand.
Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang, Tucci gang.
Just want to manage expectations.
Weird.
This is the worst.
Oh, there's the bell, Billy.
I had to bring my bell up to the thing because it's getting old, Scala.
It is.
It's
I'm getting you a new one for Christmas.
Oh, you shut up. I think you're going to get me a Yankee screwdriver for Christmas.
I'm getting you a Yankee screwdriver and a new little ding ding
asking
bell.
for a Yankee screwdriver from everybody for the past decade, and no one's getting me a Yankee screwdriver.
I actually have like a true Yankee screwdriver.
Oh, my God. Well, enough about the Yankee screwdrivers, because we're a couple of Yankees from the Northeast, and we got the California Kid on today.
We do, man.
Yeah. I want to welcome everybody to Thursday Night Live with Billy Tucci. This is our weekly show. It's me and my esteemed colleague, Nile Scala, right here. We like to have fun. We talk comics. We've gotten into some controversial, things that's going on in the industry, but for the most part, we like to have fun. Go about 45 minutes or so, and we just truly appreciate all you guys watching us. So, Scala, why don't you bring him in?
Dude, I am pumped right now.
You're nervous. I was
because
nervous before. You're like, I'm a little nervous.
I know. This is our 709th show, and I was like, I'm actually a little nervous tonight, but I'm pumped about this. It's a good nervous because
he's an awesome guy. He's a cool guy. He's
yes.
Yeah, you don't have to be nervous. I know you never met him, right?
Yeah, I have met him.
Oh,
yeah, New York Comic Con, baby. Come on. Anyways, man, this is going to be great. This is, as you, my dear friend, Mr. Tucci, I grew up reading your books. I grew up reading this gentleman's books, and it's just paved the way, influenced me. I've been being guided by you guys for so long and all my inspiration. And Billy, do the honors, my friend.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everyone out there, please, the one, the only, Rob Liefeld live.
Well, oh, hello. I know, right?
It's really good, Nile.
Man, really good production value. You guys, I'm really impressed the whole show. Good stuff.
Thank you.
What's
Thank
up,
you,
brother?
sir. Welcome.
Great to see you, Rob. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Merry
Happy holidays.
Christmas. Yes.
Good to see you, bro. You've had a pretty damn exciting year, huh?
No complaints, Billy. Yeah. I every year that I can get through, make some comics is just another blessed year, right? I mean, I love it. I was tweeting today about how excited I am for 2024, but I mean, I get a little melancholy towards the end of the year. You look back, you think of the highlights, the stuff you're gonna miss. But yeah, no, it's a great year. How was your year? Did you kind of achieve everything you wanted?
Rob, I got to tell you, with doing with the new once I brought back when COVID happened, we've had the best year since like 1999.
Oh, congratulations. That's so great.
When we come up with our characters and say you don't do them for a while, but you bring them back.
Yeah.
Right. You don't know if people are going to come back. It doesn't matter. And we're so fortunate. I mean, look at you, millions. I've sold millions of copies, but nothing like you. But if you don't do a character for a while, and I want to talk to you some of your new characters, and one of them that really didn't upset me. It's so great of a name. I got mad, literally. I'm like, oh my God, that's brilliant. But you don't know if they're going to come back. You're worried about it. And holy crap, Rob, they are. They've come back. And Diamond came up to us at San Diego Comic-Con and want us to be in the catalog and to start being in comic shops again. So we're bringing she back in April.
That's great.
2024, and for our 30th anniversary. And like I said, bro, like blessed, just blessed.
Yeah, no, she's great. She is a gold standard, great character, immediate impact, visual, great story. You expanded her. I remember when the Art of War, the spinoff, like what a smart way to spin off the character. You know, you really had your shit together from a really right out of the jump. And so
yeah, I don't know if you remember, you were too busy to contribute. I asked you.
I don't know what was going on back then. I would have
You
loved
had
to
your studio. You had 2 studios, I think, at the time. You know, you had 2 labels. You know, and you were like, I can't do it. I'm like, what do you want?
Oh,
Billy,
that is my error. I generally didn't turn down a lot of stuff, and if I did, it was because I was buried.
Yeah, you were. Yeah.
But no, hey, I know what you're talking about. I mean, we're bringing back some of the older characters this year too, and it's funny. I'm not trying to jump on the she stuff, but I've been talking to people and having them do stories for a new Evangeline series, and like awesome. And it's the same, Billy. I'm like I think they're gonna. I think that fan base is interested, but it's just like you said, you don't know until you actually put it back out there. And fortunately, we came from a period where I think fans, you know, we caught them at a really important part of their age, and we were both young guys. But you know, I always say to my wife and I say to my kids, like, if you were 14, you're 44 now. If you were 15, I mean, you just add 30. Yeah. And I'm telling you, those are the ages where bonds are formed, you know, lifetime bonds. Yep. So that's great, Billy. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. And well, like I said, if you do Evangeline, you're looking for a variant cover something, I would love to
for sure.
That.
Okay,
she's a gorgeous character.
And if you want to revisit me on She, I'm there, buddy.
We'll do it. We'll have fun in 2024. It's my 30th anniversary, so I just want to have fun. But
yeah,
you brought up 2023 that you feel a little, you know, melancholy about it. Sure. So what's I'm curious is what's your assessment of the industry that was in 2023 and what's in store for 2024 for you, bud?
Well, so I'm just happy, like I said, to making comics. I love making comics. I love putting stories out there. I like doing sequential art. I just, if my life, this is not a criticism to all of and there are so many great cover artists. Some of them are my friends, but I couldn't, that would not creatively sustain me. I want to tell a story. I want to lay out a page. I want to move characters. I want to have motion. I want to have emotion. So yeah, no, I was happy to, like, my goal every year is to do 5 issues worth of work. It's my minimum. I want to do 100 pages. This year, I think I did about 160.
Oh, shit. Wow.
You know, I had 6 different issues, all about 25, 28 pages each. That's not counting covers. And to me, I'm just still staying in the game. I want to keep telling stories. That is the kind of my prime directive. And because I feel like I didn't do as much as I could have in my youth, and I got distracted. And so what happened is in the early 2000s, when they started collecting everything into nice oversized editions and albums, I was like, crap, I need more books on the shelf with my name on it. I need to do more work that's collected. So that's always my goal, is to just do bodies of work that get collected. As far as the industry goes, I mean, have you seen, I feel like the industry's lost its shit this last week. Like people have lost their composure. I don't know what it is about the end of the year, but like people are just like, there is diarrhea of the mouth. People are just saying nonsense.
Yeah.
You know what? I go to my comic store. Here's the deal. Here's what I told my buddy. Like, so San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con are really closer to each other than people like really imagine. I mean, you get end of July, early October. It's like a 2-month, cushion between them. And I'm going to compare this to comic stores in a minute. Let me see if I can land this plane. This is stream of consciousness. But you got like, okay, let's say like what's really become, and we both were part of this too, but convention hot convention books.
Yeah.
1 in 100 special foil, only available from booth 1000 between 12 o'clock and 1 p.m. on Friday, July 29th. I mean, like, and then it's like, and everyone in the room's like, I have to have it, I have to have it. And it's like throwing, I think there's a scene in Planet of the Apes where they've captured Cornelius, and it's right in Escape of the Planet of the Apes, and they put them in with a real gorilla. And I mean, what to them is a gorilla that can't talk, and they throw bananas in there, and like the gorilla's gonna kill them to get to the bananas. And like that's what I feel like Comic-Con is like. You have to have this shiny thing, or you'll fight, and everyone fight for these few bananas, and then. You know, if you go to your comic store 2 weeks later, and I got a great comic store, he doesn't give a shit about that 1 in 1,000 variant that was only available from 12 to 1 at booth 1001 on Saturday. Like they're just selling comics. They're racking new product. But then again, New York comes, and it's that last time to get everybody crazy. We got more bananas. And then you kind of back away. You go home. You catch your flight. And you realize, oh, this week is New Comic Book Day on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and there's going to be new product. There's going to be tons of new product. And, you know, the stores are getting product. They're putting product out there. My store here in Tustin still has a huge crowd on Wednesdays. They have Wednesday Warriors. I understand that some people have said that the Wednesday Warriors have died down. I believe that. I'm just fortunate that my store still has a real strong showing, and they go in and they buy their stuff. And, you know, the only interesting thing is that in the last month, I have bought foil versions of some of my favorite Bronze Age books, like ROM #1, Micronauts #1, Days of Future Past, Hulk 181. And, you know, there's like, that's my youth. I pulled those books off the spinner rack. So if you're going to give me a nice, thick foil version, I'll buy that. Yeah. And I don't even know how much it is. Am I paying $6? I don't know. But it's like, it's weird how the past is really being used to cash a lot of checks and to pay a lot of rent, because my retailer tell me he goes heavy on that stuff, and he views that stuff as what's it called? Evergreen. Yeah. Like he's like, Rob, I can put these out for the next few weeks and the next few months, and there's going to be an appetite for it. Yeah. So you know, I mean, I have a live stream that I do, a whatnot, and a convention in Mexico was able to secure a license with Marvel. It's official. It's with a Mexican publisher, and they did a foil New Mutants 98. There is no domestic distribution of this. Marvel hasn't done it through Diamond here or through Lunar. So you can only get this, and people, it probably is our best seller of the year. New Mutants 98 with a foil, a really nice foil cover that again was down in a show in Mexico early in the year, and we were able to buy a certain amount of them. And you just go, look, again, it's that now, that's my pass, that's my direct pass. Yeah. And you know what I mean? So bottom line, the comics industry is doing great. I think when you can get away from these crazy kind of hot button, you know, the stuff that I was mentioning about the convention is it's just these feverish conditions. I have to have this, and if I don't have it, and that stuff gets sold through the roof until like 4 days into it, when everyone who wanted one got one, right? Yeah. And then the desire goes down. But my landing the plane is, outside of all that, every Wednesday your comic store has comics. I went in, like when my book is coming out, I had books coming out May. So my Deadpool book came out May, June, July, August, September, and October. And so that was great. I was able to go into the store. I like to see what's selling. You see, you know, you can see what's thick on the rack, what's thin on the rack, but that's always been the case, right? I mean, sells, stuff doesn't sell. Billy, I think the comics industry is I think it's in a good place. I don't know what all the bitching is about and all this nasty, but I mean, I watched a retailer thing the other day, and that was informative. But they'll all tell you that they're still selling comics. Their sales are somewhat down. I won't tell you which member of my family Remember, my family was walking through the room because I had it on our 70-inch. I had the YouTube, so I was drawing while I was listening to it, and somebody in my family may have said, "Yeah, that those sales aren't coming back," and I'm like, "Get out of here!"
I'll get beat it. Yeah.
You know?
Well, yeah, like when Glenn O'Leary, that you brought it up, said that, and my local retailer says the same thing. My comic shop owner, so many comic shop owners that I know talk about. We're actually going to have a retailer roundup next week because they're concerned. These guys didn't get into this for the money, They were comic fans to begin with, and he's just saying what's going on and what he's seeing, and then Mark Miller, then he shares it and he agrees with him, like, yeah, what can we do to fix this? Let's tackle this, and then they just try to kill the guy. It was unbelievable.
It was distasteful. It was ugly. Yep. But here's the thing. Now you know this, Billy. The internet is ugly. Yeah, it is an ugly, ugly, ugly place. If you're going to rear your head, they call Washington, D.C. the swamp. Yeah. What the hell is Twitter or X or even Facebook? And everyone has their Twitter words. I'm going to say something. Mark Miller is a great guy. He loves this industry. He has written some amazing, I hate to hit it on the nail, kick-ass comic books. Yeah. He is a tremendous talent. He loves comics. I saw people trying to smear him left, right, and center. And then again, Glenn O'Leary, they're trying to smear. And
it's amazing. Instead of engaging, they just attack. Like another pro, longtime pro, now attacks him and it was attacking Mark and calling Mark that his star had fallen. Like this catty, sophomoric.
It was awful.
Crap. And again, I'm in my 50s. I don't have time for this shit. I really don't.
You and me both, man. I'm making the comics. I'm putting the comics out. I'm hoping, look, social media has given us a platform to sell. And I enjoy it. I want you to buy, if not my comic, a comic book. Comic books are a tremendous source of incredible entertainment, pleasure for me. They always have been. They are a great escape for me. I prefer them to the movies. The movies, a good Marvel and DC movie can capture some of that, but not all of it.
Right.
Because you can film Frank Miller's Daredevil. You're not going to summon the same beats, but the turns of the page, the shock, the awe, the oh my gosh. Comic books in its purest form are my favorite entertainment, and they always have been. And I understand that we have a generation that doesn't like to read. I have become totally enamored with my 9-year-old nephew, and he speaks in a different language. I want to say he speaks meme. I'm trying to get my head around the shit that he says. Yeah. But I mean, he's like, I don't watch TV. I watch YouTube. And he says but like he is Marvel, DC, Star Wars have no impact on him whatsoever. So I think it's very interesting watching him. That there's a generation that's really not into this in the same way that we were. But look, you just said you're in your 50s. I'm in my 50s. I know that when I go to these original art groups that I'm a part of, and these guys who are buying art from their late 30s to their 60s, this is their passion still. Our business is big enough. Our business has never been television audience numbers or movie blockbuster numbers. Right. We don't have an audience of 100 million people or whatever, but we have a healthy, I think we have a healthy base. And the truth is, and I do believe, because even that one bully that you were mentioning a minute ago, who was calling out Mark Miller today, he'll even say that there are some really bad comic books out there right now. I wouldn't say they're bad comics. Bad is in the eye of the beholder. I think there's a lot of I said this the other day. I'm going to pause. There is a new group, maybe for the last 15 years, of artists, and I'm going to tell you how I know this. A high up at one of the big two shared with me last summer. And this person said to me, it's hard to educate. It's hard to instruct some of this talent nowadays because they're either overseas or it's hard to get, people to give instruction as to storytelling, page design. I'm telling you, like the weight of figures. That there's a lot of I think there is a lot of samey a product. I've been at the stands and I will open a book. And there's a style that seems to have caught on that I call the animated style, the animated cell style. Have you?
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
I mean, very few spotted blacks, very few cast shadow blacks. We're talking of black areas that you fill in to give weight to legs, to arms, to faces. And now it's just kind of open illustration with some color. And it just, to me, it looks more like it belongs on a television screen than it does on a comic book page, but that's personal preference. I'll be the first to tell you that's personal preference.
Right.
You do you, I'll do me. We'll put our comics out. Hopefully they'll do well. But thank God for comic book retailers. And I said it again today. I've been saying it for weeks. Go buy comic books from your retailer. Do not take that clubhouse for granted. Do not think that it's going to stay open forever if you let your subscription lapse and you don't pick up 2 months worth of comics. That kills that guy. That kills that
does.
media.
Yeah, because they put, and that's what's, and we've benefited from that. But you have these retailers literally on the front lines, and they're buying content before they even see what's in it. They got to pay for it, and then it's unreturnable.
Yeah,
they can't return it if it doesn't sell.
Yeah.
So they're taking a huge risk. I don't know any retailers, or a few, a very, very minuscule few that are incredibly wealthy. Most of them got into this because they love it. That's just like us. Like we got into it because we love comics. That's how we got into this business.
Yeah.
I'm a little concerned because I think a lot of this new breed of creators, they're not getting into comics because they love comics. They never read them. They see something that this is their. How many guys you talk to or creators at cons? And I love talking to indie creators. And the first thing I can't tell you how many people said to me. I think I did 9 appearances this year, and so many of them like, "Well, I'm making a movie. This is what I'm doing. I'm creating a movie. I want this to be a movie. This is my whole goal for doing this is to get a Netflix or to get a film." And I'm like, "Good on you, buddy, but." How sustainable is that? And also, it seems kind of disingenuous in a way too, to me.
See, you know what? So here's the thing that I don't think I have a great. I'm going to tell you right now, my personal fan base, I have cultivated over the last 25 years, from message boards to Facebook to Twitter to all social media. I was fortunate enough early in the early 2000s that a group of guys banded together and they made these Liefeld boards, and I got to know them personally. And like you said, I've cut down on personal appearances, but I would go to Dallas and Chicago and meet these guys, and we would have meals, and I would learn from them, learn what they liked. But it was this, I built this, these substantial relationships with these guys.
Yeah.
And we've got a real open channel, and they've helped, I think, protect me in times when people want to bully up on me. I've got a great posse that will rise up, because you need that in this crazy social media world too. You need a vocal fan base, but I will interact with them often, and they will give feedback, and they are aware that I am doing comics because I want to. I could not, I don't know. I couldn't, it's not that I could not. I don't need to sustain my family on my comic book income. Flip that. Comic book pages are terribly time consuming. And if I did 160 pages this year, my family did hear me grouse out loud this summer. I'm like, why did I agree to a summer deadline? Shit. I'm waking up at the crack of dawn, trying to fit some time by the pool, back inside, back cracking, drawing all day, scanning, sending to the colorist. And that is done out of love, and it is done out of passion. But my interest in the comic book medium is the same as you would say, and maybe for you too, as Quentin Tarantino's interest in telling film. I feel like I have a disease. I think you do too. It's comic books. I have to be telling comic book. I want to. I said to you earlier, I want to fill volumes, put books up, but I've got a book coming out in January that I've not shared with anybody. I haven't shown a single page. I'm going to only sell it online because I don't give a shit. I'm just going to sell it online. If some stores want to go in on it, I'll be open to those. But I am not doing this book to make money. I've told this story. I'm too impatient to then go to Diamond and say, hey, can you solicit this? And I'll put it out. And I need the urgency of getting this story that I've told, that I've been creating in the month of December. I get pages back from my colors. So I'm like, oh, I think this involves my extreme characters. And I'm like, I can't wait to share this with people, but I'm going to share it in the most like basement level distribution system, like
I love it.
Hey, you want a copy? I'll put this in the mail for you. Hey, it'll be available through my live streams, but it is a passion project. It is not a project that I'm doing to generate a movie.
Yeah, you're making like a boutique comic, and you're like a boutique publisher.
No, I'm telling you, Billy, I don't want a movie out of this. I don't want action figures. I want a comic book. And one of my heroes, and I know at some point he's on your list, and to sidle up next to him and pick his brain, he's the exact same way, and that's Frank Miller. And that guy hit heights that we couldn't have dreamed of in 1986 with Dark Knight Returns. Billy, I remember. So in 1986, I'm 18, and it's coming out, and Rolling Stone covers it, and the New York Times covers it. And I see the LA Times, and I'm like, this Batman story by Frank Miller is getting acclaim. It's before social media, Frank was just exploding. And you know what? The fact that he turned that into Sin City and 300, and I understand those went on to become movies. He is super prolific. But you know what he's doing now? He's just drawing comics. Frank hasn't retired. Most of the guys from my generation, Billy, they're retired. They're not drawing comics anymore. It's very sparingly. Yeah. And I sometimes I go, guys, didn't we love comics? No, we want to make comics because I'm a fan of those guys. I want them to produce more comics. Yeah. But when Mark says he wishes more people would produce comics, there is a lot of talent that is on the sidelines. So, and I'm not sure they're going to produce stories, because stories is where you create a bond, period. A cover is great. A story it gives you emotion, and a story can give you surprise, shock, awe, compassion. But there is a lack of, I think from the 90s on, a lot of guys have just hung it up.
Yeah.
But not you. Come on. You're doing we're brothers. We're doing this.
Yep. Yeah, my wife will let me hang it up.
Yeah, good. Good for her.
She's got the whip crack 24/7.
So, Rob, let me ask you. I know you said a lot of them moved on. They're not doing comics.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, some of them, which is really heartbreaking. I'm a cartoonist, so I draw, so I don't need another artist, and I write. Yeah. So, but you got these legends that can't find work. And it drives you nuts, because you want to see that work. And a lot of them are going towards, now they're doing like what you did, becoming boutique publishers. Uh-huh. Like I think we are sort of that. They're doing crowdfunded books. They're doing, the Kickstarters, the Indiegogo, getting it out there. And that's fantastic, because as Nile and I talk about, I really believe that this time now, there's never been an easier time to make a comic and get it out there to people.
I agree.
And like you talk about the internet, use the internet for a positive purpose. Get your stuff out there. I love these creators, Ron Randall, guys like that, and they're publishing their own books. They never did that before, and it's wonderful. But going back to like the mainstream, what would Rob Liefeld, what would Marvel editor-in-chief Rob Liefeld? You are the editor-in-chief of Marvel. Would you be doing anything different? What would you kind of
I'll tell
you would do? Two
things. With all due respect, and I love CB Cebulski. Without CB, I don't have this.
Yeah, no offense to CB.
This. I have this new cable series coming out next year. Again, CB Marvel. What I really need, like, if they weren't treating me right, you would know it. I think about, could I contain that? No, I would be lashing out, and I'd be sarcastic. I'd be smarmy. I'm super I have a great relationship with Marvel. They've been great to me. We've had a really fun kind of existence for the last decade since I started doing more regular work with them. The one thing that I would do differently at both publishers, DC, Marvel, when I was, and it was what someone who loved me did for me. After Hawk and Dove, after Hawk and Dove, I had been hired by Marvel, and I was sharing a studio with Jim Valentino. He wanted to get a studio. He was doing Guardians of the Galaxy. It had just started, and I had met Jim. We got along famously. There was a studio space near his house. He said, "Would you be my partner in this if I get this?" It was about a 30-minute drive for me every day, but I'm like, it's great. I can't wait to hang with Jim. He's got so much great storytelling. Jim had been working as doing storyboards in animation, the Ghostbusters cartoon, a bunch of stuff. I mean, I was helping him with some of that too. He just really smart storyteller. He was looking at me. He was watching me create some pages for a project. And one day he came in, one Monday I came in and he said, "Here is all of my Fantastic Fours from my personal collection." It was like issues 10 through 100. He said, "I want you to absorb Jack Kirby. Don't look at the drawings. Look at the staging. Look at the storytelling. He said, Rob, he says, you are some of the guys you're influenced by. They're doing 10 panels a page because that's what they do. But you should, they're breaking the rules because they know the rules." He said, Jack Kirby, very simple, 4 panels, 6 panels a page. All the information's there. Look at how he swings the camera. And you know what, Billy, it was the first time I really studied. Like, I'm like, I see what Jim's saying, and it wasn't hard to immediately latch on. Fantastic Four is probably like the greatest body of work that Jack Kirby ever did. Yeah. And he is, when you've got somebody who's so ridiculously accomplished as an illustrator as someone like John Buscema was, who was like the Frank Frazetta of pencilers. There's a quote that he said, when I would, on Thor and Fantastic Four, I figured I should just mimic what Jack was doing because there's nobody better. And if somebody that good is going to lean in and go, I'm just going to go for that Jack energy and that Jack staging. And so I think there is a lot of fundamentals in comics that we've gotten away from. I said this the other day. There are fundamentals, the stuff that my peers and I did. And I'm not talking about drawing. Todd McFarlane did not draw the same figure that Mark Silvestri did. Okay. Right. Everybody had a different stylistic. Steve Ditko did not draw the same way as John Buscema, obviously. But there are certain, what we call page turns and how to utilize a splash page, how to end on a cliffhanger best, where to maybe go big and do a double page splash for impact. These are the things that only comics can do. Yeah. This is the language of comics that is exclusive to comics. And you know who's doing the fundamentals better than we are right now? And it's no secret, is manga. Yeah. I have boxes and somebody told me the other day, when did you first get in manga? Was it when it was Dark Horse was doing the reprints? I'm like, are you kidding me? I had out here in Southern California, I don't know what to call it, an Asian mall, a Korean mall, but I couldn't read anything. I pulled up one day. I went in there. There was a giant bookstore, and I saw all of these books that I couldn't read. I didn't understand, but I saw pictures. I was buying Appleseed. I was buying Pat Labor. Later on, when I had Extreme Studios, I drove the guys to these same spots that I would halfway from here to Los Angeles, and I'd be like, come on, guys, we got to, go check this out. This is where the imports are before anybody else will get to this stuff. This is fresh. But manga emphasizes motion, and they have they're really good storytellers. Oh, and again, I just keep coming back to storytelling, the stuff that moved me as a kid and inspired me, whether it was Jack Kirby, John Byrne, and George Perez, Jim Starlin. These guys had fundamentals. They knew John Byrne was mimicking Jack Kirby, much of his fundamentals. Right. He was absolutely mimicking so much of what he learned and putting his newfangled figure drawing spin and faces. And John Byrne was very influenced by manga and anime as well. So it was watching all these sources come together. So here's the deal. I would give a giant dose of Jack Kirby to every artist at Marvel walking through the door, saying, this guy built the joint. He built it. I don't know what you're going to do with this, but you should look at this. You should study this, because some of you guys are, you know what? Somebody said this to me once. Don't get distracted by the squiggly lines on the elbows or the squiggly lines on the knees of Jack Kirby. Look at the staging and the figure placement. It's just brilliant stuff. Second, and here's the most important thing. I'm going to talk more about this when my podcast comes back, because here's the deal. Here's the deal, Billy. Here's the secret sauce. Here's what everyone is missing. Here's what absolutely everyone is missing. What I would do, and I don't know why they haven't done it. I do not know why, but there is a way to inspire this. Billy, my career and Todd McFarlane's career and Jim Lee's career, and I'll just stop there, but everybody else. So New Mutants and X-Force ran concurrent, like one stopped, one began.
Yeah.
Then after that, Youngblood started. That's about a 3.5-year run, and it's over 30 issues of comics. And you go New Mutants annual, then 86, 87, 88, 89, all the way through 100, then X-Men, then X-Force 1 through 10, then Youngblood 1 through 10. So Jim Lee, Uncanny X-Men, Wildcats.
Yep.
Tom McFarlane, Amazing Spider-Man, Spawn. It's all going to give you, you're going to, Eric Larson, everybody, you're going to get about a 3.5-year run. No one is doing runs, Billy. I'm 6 issues and I'm out. Yep. Well, how do you think you're going to build a bond with an audience? How do you think you're going to have impact? I told on the first season of my podcast, the most important thing, maybe the most important thing, I can't think of anything more important right now, and I've been thinking about it a lot. I'm going to revisit this story. People who listen to my podcast are familiar with this. I talk about it in regards to Art Adams. Amazing, super talented. When me and my guys were breaking in, Art was down to 1 book a year.
Yeah.
After basically having 1 year in 1985 where they published everything he had been drawing since 1983, and he got a nice 1 year out of it. That's the most you're ever going to get out of our Art Adams, but it was enough with how great he was to impact. But Todd McFarlane said to me when I got to Marvel, and while I was waiting to see what I was going to do, they said, hey, do you want to do this annual? Hey, do you want to do this annual? Hey, do you want to do this what if issue? And I was doing everything. And he goes, okay, I wasn't going to do this because of my cold. And this is going to be really shitty. But I can only channel him if I try and talk like him. So I'm about to do a really bad Todd McFarlane. I'm gonna try and channel Todd right now. Okay, get the Ouija board. Okay. It goes, Bud, what are you doing? Robbie, what's going on here? I said, what are you talking about? He goes, you're a jackrabbit. You're a jackrabbit. I said, a jackrabbit? What's a jackrabbit? And he said it so fucking weird. He said it, you're a jackrabbit. I'm like, I need an interpreter. What the hell? It was like Grant Morrison. You know, when Grant Morrison goes, oh, the hand. And you're like, what the hell did you just say? But Todd goes, you're a jackrabbit. Robbie, you've got a name for yourself doing 5 monthly Hawks and Dove. Okay? Hawks and Dove. And he said, and that was a run. It was a body of work. Now you're being like Art Adams. You're being a jackrabbit. And he goes, you got to get on a book and you got to do a run. Yeah. And Billy, it was like the light went off. And it's like, who do I love? John Byrne, long run on Fantastic Four, long run on X-Men. Now, none of us did the runs. None of us did the runs of the guys that we loved.
Yeah, sure.
Jim Lee didn't do 5 years of the X-Men like George Perez on the Titans. Okay.
Right.
We didn't do 5 years of the Fantastic Four, but at least, like I told you, and God bless you, Steve McNiven, you are one badass illustrator. Good God Almighty. You're so ridiculous. But dude, I needed more out of you than Civil War and Old Man Logan.
Yeah.
And where have you been? Steve, can you draw for me? I love you. Steve, do not take this personally. Rob Liefeld wants you on a monthly. Maybe, get incentivized and start now. And here's the reason, like, I can say this because it's like, this is like Art of War. This is like She Art of War. I'm giving you a clue to I don't normally put out competitive elements, but the bottom line is this is going to take incredible discipline. These people, you're not going to create a bond unless you do a run. And I'm not talking writers. Hey, writers, that's great. You know where writers do the best? At Barnes and Noble, Stephen King, and all the big authors. Comic books is about art. We draw pictures, moving. We move figures and pictures, and that's what inspired me. I'm not in the novel business. I'm in the comic book business. But we need artists that give us like 10 issues out of the year, because I had to fill in, okay, but I was still there 10, 11 issues every year, and what that and here's the deal, Billy. My New Mutants X-Force Youngblood run may have caught you when you were 14, 15, 16, or when you were 13, 14, 15, just like it caught me with my guys. And when you get them, you've made that bond. And they go, I remember getting pubes and then dating girls. And in that stretch, Rob Liefeld was there for me.
Yeah, man. And they follow you, and they would follow you from time. They follow the artist from title to title. So it is a great thing for, like, say, a Marvel or DC, because say you have one particular artist A, and artist A is on Thor, right? And he does Thor for a year, 10 issues, like you say. Give me 10 issues. Then now I'm going to do X-Men, and all those people that are buying those Thor books will go and move on to X-Men. And they'll keep buying the Thors because they've been buying the story already from, for the past year or so. Right. And then now they're buying 2 books a year. Now they're buying, now they've just added, another book to their Wednesday pickup.
So when I talk to retailers, and retailers tell me their most successful Marvel book of the last year, it is Spider-Man by Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr. John Romita Jr. in his 60s is still putting out regular work, and John Romita Jr. is never better than when he is on street level characters, Spider-Man, Daredevil. And it is not a secret to, like, you go, of course it is, because that's a team. You're showing up for them. They're giving you 10 or 12 out of, because I know sometimes Marvel now does increased like frequency, but you got to get with some artists, Marvel and DC. And I remember Ivan Rice, who came out of nowhere, but did this incredible run on Green Lantern. And Jeff Johns wrote it with a lot of guys. But Ivan Rice came on there. He did Green Lantern, then he did Blackest Night. It was like, again, a 3-year run that you go, you were there for me. I remember that entire span of my life, 2006 to 2009, whatever that date was. But without a run, you are just, to quote the almighty Todd McFarlane, Jackrabbit! You're a jackrabbit! You're jumping from bush to bush to bush. And I'm like, dude, Jackrabbit, like, and there's so many jackrabbits in this business right now. Land your plane, find your hangar, and go to work and give us, because until somebody does that, because I mean, Billy, you and I could sit here for hours, and we're not going to come up with maybe more than 1 or 2 people who fit that criteria. And when we were growing up, there was dozens of people doing that. Okay.
Well, I got a text from a buddy of mine, the great Renzini, and he's watching, and my buddy Ted Puglisi's out there, the Brian Blevins is out there watching, because everyone's texting me. Sure. And he says, the great Renzini says, I have every issue, variant, and exclusive Rob produced for the first 10 years.
Thank you.
So you're right. Going from Hawk and Dove, then moving on to New Mutants, going on to X-Force, going on to Youngblood, whatever the proper, the way the chips fell. But he bought all those books with you, that he followed you from title to title, because he found an artist, again, at a part of his life that he was really into comics, and still, he's back into comics again. Like a lot of us, you move off, you move on, life gets in the way. But now he's back buying, big time again. And you're 100% right, though. I never even thought about that. Stick with the same damn thing, and the audience will follow you. At least give them a year if you can. Johnny Jr. is 60 years old, and he's doing 12, 13 issues a year.
And it is not it is no secret that is Marvel's bestseller. Spider-Man. Right. Okay, it's Spider-Man, but it's got the only, like, I believe, go-to team that Marvel has been producing. and they value and I think they're protecting that. They're making sure that sustains itself. And you got to get a bunch of guys to do stuff like this.
Yeah.
And just like the way we wish that the networks would stick with shows longer. Look, the bottom line, and you and I make comic books. Comic books are not that expensive. They are just not that expensive. You can do comic books for a budget now. Even with big names, these big corporations, they can definitely underwrite some of these comic book budgets. Incentivize some great teams. I'm not picking on Steve McNiven. He's fantastic. I think the last thing I saw he did was a Boba Fett one-shot for Marvel. It was beautiful. The guy is capable. Whether Olivier Coipel, who I think is maybe semi-retired, comes to mind. But there were so many of these guys at the beginning of comics of the 2000s who were getting the comics, and then they didn't, you didn't get those runs. And what is the connective tissue between the generation that inspired my guys and me and my guys is a 3-year run. That is because most fans just said New Mutants to X-Force to Liefeld, I followed him. Jim, Uncanny, X-Men, Wildcats, I followed him. Eric Larson, followed him. And it's because it's like that Friend song, I'll be there for you. You'll see me every month at the comic store. Billy, I would have done 8 issues of Deadpool Batter Blood this last year, but I could only get out 6.
Sure.
They just said, Rob, we're going to make this 6 issues. Great, I'll give you 6. If it was 7, I'd have given you 7. If it was 8, I'd have given you 8. I'd love to just be able to just, especially with the platform that Marvel provides, because Marvel is, even those retailers said, Marvel is the biggest of all the platforms. Yeah. And it's traditionally been that way.
Hey, Rob, can I ask something? Like we're going back to, we go to the Silver Age, right? Yeah. But all those creators, a lot of them, they're World War II veterans, all that stuff. They took comics as a job. Yeah. And I'm wondering why that you say that people don't do the runs. A lot of them are incapable of doing it or don't do it.
It's hard.
Yeah, and you get a guy like Buscema and Tom Palmer. When I was working with Tom on Heroes for Hire, he sent me John Buscema's pencils. He's like, I got to send you this. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you. But they were, he was brilliant. He was a virtual.
I have a whole issue of him, Billy. Yeah. I have a whole Conan drawn like you're saying.
But he also told me though that to John it was a job.
Yeah.
John didn't grow up a comic book fan.
No.
Do you think that also that might play a part because we were comic fans and we love this so much? Like say Steve McNiven, who again is a brilliant artist, but you gotta spend because you look at that, that building's not right. I gotta fix it. Right. Johnny Jr. told me that the best advice he got from Jack Kirby was to John Buscema told Johnny Jr. throw away your eraser. Don't erase. And that's how Johnny's been able to do it. But do you think that because we do love this so much that might hinder our production or guys like that, that like, I gotta fix. When I was doing Sergeant Rock, I would spend 3-4 days on a page.
Well,
it was a big battle.
Billy, those pages that you drew were so intricate. I bought that book. I saw what you were doing.
Oh, thank you.
That was a very and that actually speaks. So when we're talking about the John Buscema or the John Burns, because they both did the same thing, and it's John Byrne. I'm just saying the John Burns, so people don't think I'm calling him Burns when he's Byrne. But
if you watch it on social media, they might.
Here's the deal. The 70s and 80s was also a period of tremendous finishing talent. Klaus Janson, Tom Palmer, Terry Austin, Dick Giordano, Bob McLeod. Look, I would sit down. Look, some of the original art that I pursue specifically is when Neil Adams would ink John Buscema or Neil Adams would ink someone else. Before Neil passed, he inked me. It was such a tremendous inspiration. I was so excited that he agreed to do a couple pages in my Snake Eyes book because it was fun to see someone else put their style over. You could see a merging of styles. People love when Ron McFarlane inked me on some covers because they say I could see both of you at the same time.
Yeah, that's
but Tom Palmer would take those what were called breakdowns from John Buscema, and they were so great because the weight of the figure is there, the storytelling, the staging, everything I'm telling you. But he left it to Ernie Chan, Tony DeZaninga, Tom Palmer, these very accomplished finishers who would then just go in there and noodle it and get it more, final camera ready.
Yeah.
So buying a bunch of John Byrne art this last 20 years, I got issues of the Avengers that he did that Klaus Janson would finish. And it says very clearly, breakdowns and by John Byrne, finishes Klaus Janson, or finishes Dan Green. And John Byrne was so good, like John Buscemi, he could give you a light penciled rendition, but all the information was there, the staging, the gesture, the emotion. But then someone else. So there was, and Eric Larson and I have talked about this. I know Eric's also talked about it publicly. It was about these collaborative teams that combined to make a deadline. So John would get the 22 pages out early enough that the inker, look, when you don't have to worry about the storytelling and you can just render, it's such a wonderful thing. I've done it sometimes. It's so nice. I don't know. I just need to make these lines clean and thick and thin. And it's a different mindset, but it has to be done. Then we entered into this stage with, I agree, kind of the image guys, where we wanted to control every line and make it tighter.
Yeah.
Look, at some point, you have to give some of that up to make your deadlines. I completely inked 3 issues of Deadpool Batter Blood, but I had to find friends to do what I just told you. Guys who I knew could finish my pencils, that I had to give that up. And they still came out great because I found really good fits. Guys like Corey Hampshire, guys like Chance Wolfe, these guys came on board and they polished me up and we got it to market. We got it done on time. It's just a lot of this, Billy, what comic books is problem solving. What's the problem you have to solve? Telling the story and getting it out. Build what we so many people don't have that trust, that hand off to that other inker. And again, I did an entire issue of Snake Eyes. I knew I'm like, I need help on this. How do I make this work? I called up Wolf Portacio. I called up Philip Tan. I called up Neil Adams. I called up Dan Panosian. I called up Art Taber. I called up all these Kevin freaking Eastman.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'd love to, Rob. And look, I've got a guy right now that I'm working with, that I'm giving him pencils, and the product is very different. The finishes are very different, and it's part of this project that I'm eventually going to put out that people will see. But I'm confident now in how Rob Liefeld's art works, that I don't mind when someone comes in and tweaks it a little and takes it a little off model, because it's still my storytelling and my staging. But
and it is fun to see that. It is fun to see, because it keeps it fresh. You don't want to get stagnant. I mean, how many guys you never saw them ever change, for decades? And so it's good to, like you said, these wonderful finishers that are so few and far in between now.
But with your Sergeant Rock stuff, I understood you had a very specific look and only you could pull that off.
Yeah.
And so you invested that incredible. And I know what it's like, Billy. Like I said, doing 160 pages. Look, right now I'm trying to do 120 for 24 minimum. And I know what that means. That means sitting my ass down and drawing. And like I said, so many of my peers are not doing it out of choice, but also, Billy, and this is like the last kind of resonant thing. Todd and I used to talk when we were much, much younger and much, much closer. We were inspired. The thing that was weird about Jim Lee and Todd McFarlane and Eric Larson, guys I'd never met, but we instantly spoke this language called John Byrne, George Perez, Jim Starlin. Oh, when George was doing this in the background and those characters, all the stuff that we had all been collectively paying attention to, we were talking. Those were our inspirations. And look, people forget. Let me tell you something. George Perez was a sweet guy.
Yeah.
But he was a ruthless competitor. I was his personal valet one weekend in Anaheim, California. And my buddy Hank Canals, who was an executive at DC Comics for over a decade, he can attest to this. This is my witness. We picked George up for a convention. We took him to dinner. We drove him around. We ran errands with him. After hours, he had welcomed us in because he knew us from a Teen Titans fan club.
Wow, really?
George told me what he made. He told me that, look, he's long gone, so it doesn't matter. He said that before John Byrne and Frank Miller came to DC, he made sure that DC gave him a contract that paid him $1 more than them, no matter what they ever made.
No shit.
And that is where I learned about that special clause. It's escaping me right now. favored nations.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
If you can ever get a favored nation's clothes, get a favored nation clothes. It has worked out wonderfully for me. And I was like, wow. George is telling me, he's just giving me science. And he's like, Rob, I have to take over Wonder Woman because of what Frank is doing on Batman and what John is doing on Superman. He literally said to me, I can't be left behind. This dude's a titan and he's still running the race. So when we entered, we were the prize we were chasing was being the best in the business.
Yeah, man.
I think now the prize everyone's chasing is how many prints can I sell at my table at that show next week? And that's fine. If that pays your rent and gives you the life you want, do it. There is no side eye here. But I've told some of the guys at the big publishing, what you're up against is this convention economy. I have seen these road warriors, and let's not kid ourselves. These guys are making six figures, multiple six figures, and they are. You don't have to be deaf, dumb, or blind. You look at the freaking ads every week. They're at a different show. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You know what? And they're going out. They're shaking the hands. They're politicians. They're kissing the babies. They're selling their prints. They're selling their limited stuff. They're getting back on the plane. They're booking a trip for next week. Some of these guys are going to 30 shows a year. You cannot do a comic book if you're going to be on the road all the time. And they know that. That's not what they're after. Some of these guys just wanted to draw 10 covers a year. And if that's what you want, good for you. Rob Liefeld is on with Billy Tucci right now. I cheer you on. But the goalposts have moved.
Yeah.
Doing a comic book and telling kick-ass stories, I'm not sure that's the prize anymore. Woo! I drank this entire bottle of Jarritos before we went on, and I'm just feeling
you're fantastic.
now.
You're fantastic.
Well,
and again, thank you for coming on, everybody out there watching us. Thank you, Rob, for coming on. I got a question to ask you. You know, something that we had a few weeks ago, the 1990 Jack Kirby interviewed with Gary in the Comics Journal.
Yeah.
For some reason it came back to light. I don't know what brought it up. We had some discussion on it on a past show and all. It came, you know, that, and you were friends with Jack.
I was.
I went to your wedding. How do you feel about that? If you recall that, I mean, he came across like there was so much bitterness. And you know, we had Roy Thomas on to talk about it. Roy then got a lot of shit from people because Roy is just saying what he remembers.
Yeah.
You know, the whole thing of who created this, you know, between Stan and with Jack. And I don't know if you have anything to say. Again, you know, they're both.
Let me say something visual. Jack is the most important person in the history of comics. Let me do something real quick for you. Let me say less and do more. Hang on. Now, you and I didn't rehearse this. You didn't give me any show notes, okay? So this is just part of my bookshelf.
Holy shit! Oh cow! Yeah! Wow.
This is non-Marvel, non-Stan Lee work. Okay.
Yeah.
Jack Kirby's the Demon. Jack Kirby's Omak. Jack Kirby's Commandy. Jack Kirby's Fourth World. So big it needs 4 chapters. Jack Kirby's Machine Man. Jack Kirby's Devil Dinosaur. His 1970s Captain America run. Hang on real quick. Here, let me do this. Here's what I'm going to tell you something. I got a Jack Kirby omnibus. Okay. Yeah. This, holy shit, that's a decade's worth of work I just pulled out. Just off my shelf. My shelf is much lighter, but I can keep grabbing.
Yeah.
That's non-Marvel. Most of that's non-Marvel work. That's thousands of pages. Okay. Yeah. Jack Kirby had every right to be bitter. He was done dirty in life by the people who were in power at the time who did not give him his due.
Yeah.
He left Marvel, and here's the deal. God bless Stan Lee. I loved him. You gave him medals on stage at Rhode Island. He deserved them. Stan's a genius. but Jack was the creative engine. Period. Full stop. Man, if somebody told me differently, I would fucking slap their fucking face. Okay, I would not. I could not. If someone were to try and demean Jack Kirby was. I think he left Marvel to show. Let's show what I can do. You keep, Fantastic Four suddenly got a lot less creative.
Yeah.
Where was the next Annihilus and Doctor Doom and the Frightful Four and Mole Man, and what happened with Thor? Holy shit, And John Buscema's on record going, I just tried to emulate what Jack was doing. Jack was pretty damn important.
Yeah.
I think when he was interviewed, he was deeply, deeply hurt. And I think if you sometimes, look, man, we have a business. Oh, you want to talk about getting shit? I'm going to get shit for this. This is a business that has a fair amount of jock riders. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like Daryl Hall to say, John Oates is not my creative partner. Look, my whole life I was like, that's funny. John Oates is like a side piece in all these videos, but Daryl Hall is the brilliant songwriter, vocalist.
I was the guy with the mustache. I remember who was the guy with the mustache.
I remember in 1986 an interview with Spin Magazine where George Michael admitted, I played every instrument and I even sang the backup vocals that were attributed to Andrew Ridgeley.
Right.
Lamb was 100% me. I just wanted my friend to come along with me, so I created a spotlight. And I remember Andrew Ridgeley was like, "Yeah, what he said. That's right." There's Jack was the bright light. People could come. He did so many great things. You could put a script on top of a Jack Kirby story, and it was still going to be brilliant because Jack was brilliant. But look at that visual. Look at all. Let's do this one more time. Come on. Yeah. This is Jack on his own, and this is only a fraction. Okay. And I'm pretty sure Devil Dinosaur is on a TV show now. I mean, Jack, the Eternals, they didn't do him justice.
No.
But I was so happy that his pure vision without anybody else saw the light of day. Jack was the hardest working guy in comics. He taught an entire industry how to excel at making comics. His imagination is unfettered. Because here's what I'm pretty sure of. I'm pretty sure that Galactus here was 1000% designed by Jack Kirby. Okay, and I think Jack dreamed Jack. I think Jack dreamed. Here, let's here. How do I turn this on again? Here we go. Say hello, Galactus. So blink your lights, Galactus. Come on, blink your lights. So the thing is, when Jack gave that interview, I think he was deeply wounded. I think the people in the business did him dirty at the time. The fact that they didn't return his artwork for years upon years was just shy of, I won't use that word. I'll say deplorable. I'll say it was deplorable. When I took a bunch of guys from my studio to Jack's, we went to the Valley. Wow. I felt bad. It was after midnight and he was still entertaining us all with stories. And I said, Roz, what is this bad? And she's like, he just loves you guys. He's just I haven't seen him this excited, but he was telling us Captain America stories. He was telling us his World War II stories. The guy had such incredible energy at that time, and he would pass away 2 years later. Yeah. But the times that I got to spend with Jack personally, going to his house, listening to him, he had nothing but love for the business. And when I said, Jack, how was it you were doing 4 pages a day? He said, Rob, I was getting $20 a page. I had to pay for my family. I had to do 4 pages a day. Yeah. And so you want to talk about a guy who did a job, right? I mean, but that you never looked at his pages and didn't go, this is genius. Like this guy made 4 kick-ass pages every day. Crazy. So I am very sympathetic to Jack, and I'm comfortable saying that he was done dirty in his life. Now, in the after, I know that there's been a settlement and the Kirbys have been, given
compensation.
But I mean, there needs to be a statue. There needs to be why isn't there a statue of Jack in Burbank? I'm comfortable saying that. He needs to be better known.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, what I don't hold against Stan is that he survived. He lived. He was able to be out there and enjoy the fruits of his collaboration with Jack Kirby. He was able to go to the premieres and meet all this. But I'm going to tell you what people don't understand. Jack was way more charming than Stan. Person to person, Jack was Stan is charming. Jack is even more warm and kind and sweet. And him and Roz, if they had walked those carpets, the world would know who he is.
Yeah.
And but unfortunately, you can't plan when you come and go. And the good Lord took him back in the mid 90s, 1994, and we lost him. But we are still, this entire business stands on the foundation that
shoulders.
Shoulders of giants.
And again, everyone out there, we are all standing on the shoulders of giants. So let's respect them and not piss on their heads.
John Buscema would wax nostalgically about Jack. He didn't sit there and go, "Oh, Jack didn't draw a figure." I think what Jack did was more impressive to John Buscema than John Buscema mastering the human form as well as he did. I mean, he's freaking, like I said, the Michelangelo of like when people talk about the best in the business, John and Neil Adams are the best illustrators that ever drew rendered comics. But as far as pure imagination, comic book storytelling, staging, like costume design, Jack Kirby there's never going to be another one ever,
right.
In our lifetime. He's like a standalone force of nature. He deserves to be as well known as Walt Disney, in my opinion. So, you press the Jack Kirby button on Rob Liefeld, and I've gone full tilt. Okay. So I'm going to calm down. I'm just glad, again, think of all those volumes. Jack left Marvel and his creativity just blew up. But people look at that New Gods and Commandy and Demon and the Losers and all the stuff he did, and they're in awe. I mean, that was like incredible peak Jack Kirby. You don't think he had a fire in his belly? You don't think he had a freaking fire? To this day, when people go, "Who's Command D?" I go, "It's a baby found in Command D." Like,
Kevin Eastman explained that one to me.
Command D, General. What are we going to call him? Commandy.
There you go. Yeah,
you guys are doing it. Billy, and Nile, thanks for having me. I know I'm a spaz.
No, you're fantastic. No, and that's a great way to close out. I just got just a few things. A, what's the story with the Revenge of the Jedi poster behind you, bro?
Yeah. So I'm of the age where that was it was announced as Revenge of the Jedi, right? Yeah. And that was in the I've read on my podcast from some of my Starlog magazines. Starlog was the place for sci-fi news.
Yeah.
And that's where we got our first glimpses of Empire Strikes Back, of Hoth, of the Snow Troopers, of Dagobah, of later on all the Return of the Jedi stuff. But I had to have it. I was so disappointed when they announced that it was going to be called Return of the Jedi as a kid. Because at that point, I'm 9 when Star Wars comes out. Add 3, I'm 12. I'm 15.
Right.
I was like, Return? Yeah. Where's my effing revenge?
Yeah.
But I'm glad that they went with Revenge of the Sith, later on.
And there's even a movie. There's one of the 80s movies, and it's some teen movie that we went to go see. And there's a girl talking to her friend on the phone. It's like, "So do you want to go see Revenge of the Jedi?" Right? It's like one of them teen, 1983 films, whatever came out the summer of 83, because they were, they shot it when it was still going to be called Revenge of the Jedi.
Exactly.
And she's like, "So do you want to go see Revenge of the Jedi?"
Billy, I got to find that. That is trivia that escapes me.
Yeah, somebody will know that. But again, and this is I got a question because
can I ask a question, Billy?
I got nowhere to be, guys.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Now
can I ask some questions, Billy?
Yeah,
Come on,
buddy. I'm sorry.
I mean, we got you on a podcast here, and we got to talk about Robservations.
Okay.
It is an incredible podcast. It's so entertaining, man. And
I know. Nile, can I ask you what so Nile? It's like you're people say that to me every time I do a public appearance, and I'm going to ask you, why do you like it? What about it connected with you?
What connected with me was connecting with my guests and the viewers and turning it into a group conversation and everyone just honestly expressing about the things we love, all the same stuff.
The passion. Enthusiasm your enthusiasm is contagious.
Well, the one thing I'm really thankful for is that I'm a my office is really clean, but I have pack rat tendencies, and I'm so glad I never threw away my comics journals, my Amazing Heroes. Hey, Hi there. Good to see you. Are you coming to tell Billy that it's over? Billy, it's over.
No, she's like, stay up there longer.
So
Yeah.
the thing is, all those magazines that I didn't throw away, and they're not available. Like you can't find them, and so reading from them sometimes I didn't realize. I think a byproduct that I did not understand, the podcast has become a bit of a time capsule, because I can read from a 1981 interview that no one else has, and you're not going to find it. Good luck. I've tried to replace some of this stuff, and very few digital archives appear. But yeah, I love talking comics, just like I'm talking comics with you guys tonight, and sharing past history, because we are, and we've all encountered this. There are people who are retroactively changing comics history all the time.
Yeah.
It's important that we come with facts and figures. I mean, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe I had a prominent comic book writer for Marvel say, you didn't sell 5 million copies of X-Force, And I was like, what? Well, that you didn't really sell those. And I was like, you're online saying, and you know what? He was corrected and eventually recanted. But I'm like, what are you doing? Like these sales figures are a product of like, these are reported sales figures of orders that
they're documented.
They're part of history.
But Billy,
numbers.
I got a smarmy guy who wants to come at me and say that wasn't real. And then he actually cited something he did and said my sales on this are real. And I'm like,
yeah, of course it is. Yeah, okay,
dude. But so the amount of people who are looking to rewrite the history books now is alarming. And there is because I have a nephew, I have 3 nephews, and one of them, I call him Mr. Wikipedia. Everything he knows. If you say something to him, what's that? They did a version of Hulk in the future. Maestro, George Perez and Peter. You'll say something to him, and I can tell he leaves the room. He's like, I don't know what the Maestro is, but I'm going to go Google it right now. Oh, you mean that? And I'm like, you're reading from Wikipedia, Yeah, you weren't there. You're not even asking any questions. These people want to be experts.
Yeah,
they want to be experts, and whatever will give them expert. Like maybe go and buy those issues with Maestro and read them and enjoy them. Know who Maestro is before hopping on Wikipedia just to try and keep up with the. But I think that's a byproduct of what happened with the movies. Everybody on the line, everybody in the theater wants to be an expert. Oh, I remember when Scott Lang was introduced. No, you don't.
Even just movies. It's just the whole digital age that people live vicariously instead of actually living and experiencing things.
Boom.
You
wow. I'm
have a
quoting
comic
you.
book in your hand and you're reading it. You're experiencing it. You're letting your imagination move along with the story.
Yeah.
When you're reading a recap on Wikipedia, now you know something, but you didn't experience it.
And they don't, because they're missing out on one of the best things that Rob, you were bringing that.
Nobody lives anymore.
No, and Rob was bringing up thing about laying out pages, and there's nothing better than you're on the odd number page of a comic, and you turn that page for the grand reveal.
Yes, yes.
Page layout is huge.
You missed that, and that's one of the great joys of comics is that, and they call it like I said, a
says the king of the cliffhanger.
Hey, I'm going to tell you right now. Here's one thing also, because this speaks to some of the critical noise that's out there. We aren't being nostalgic right now. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you, because people are like, oh, they're just being nostalgic. No, let me tell you something.
I'm complaining.
Oh, no. Like when people go, oh, those old guys. Somebody called me an old guy the other day. I go, you mean, somebody called me an old white guy. And I said, you mean old white guy who still kicks all sorts of righteous ass and whose work sells out. Just make sure you complete the sentence. But no, the bottom line is nostalgia. Here's the deal. People go, oh, you're nostalgic. No. Let me tell you something. The guys that I mentioned, Jim Starlin, John Byrne, Frank Miller, Howard Chaykin, they're exceptional talents. It doesn't matter if they came out in the 80s and 70s. And here's where I turn it on people. I told them, I blinked off with my family like the other day. I go, the 1970s is when Francis Ford Coppola was born, Martin Scorsese, not born, but when their work, they became, Martin Scorsese became in the 70s, happened. George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, Coppola, all these brilliant, that's not being nostalgic. When I watch Jaws, I'm not being nostalgic. I'm watching brilliant craftsmanship and storytelling. And it doesn't matter that it's from 1975. It's brilliant, period. And because the other thing, oh, you're just being this. No, I'm just acknowledging excellence. Excellence is excellence, whatever age it came from. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, I got off on my.
No, it's no. This is.
I'm getting text too. People are watching this. I'm getting text too.
It's a joy, man. And Nile, do you have another question? I know I've down. Or you
yeah, I do. Your kids are growing up; they're pursuing their own passions now.
Yes,
I know your son's doing something. How does it feel to now seeing your children, entering the entertainment industry? What's that like for you?
Yeah,
I'm going to tell you right now. So Chase Liefeld is a kick-ass little ball. All my kids are amazing. I've seen your kids, Billy. We are so blessed to have these brilliant, amazing, young adults, young kids that are.
But that's also not by accident, Rob. That's also a testament to you and joy.
Well, hey, we I joke all the time. My wife handed me a book about discipline and said, I just want to know that we're on the same page. And what she forgot to tell me is, I'm not going to do any of this. It's all you. And I'm like, oh shit, by all the same page. It's just me. But no, it was like raising kids book. So anyway, the thing is, all my kids are amazing. I never went through college. I didn't go to school. So my oldest, badass, 4 years, got his degree, working in the private sector in finance. He's brilliant. My daughter is in college right now. She's a go-getter. She's an ass kicker. She just got, she took a different path and has submitted to a bunch of colleges for next year. And she's just getting acceptance. And she's like, Dad, I told you I could do it. And I'm like, Livy, you're amazing to me because I never had to negotiate institutions. But Chase walked downstairs one day.
That's a big decision.
Oh, yeah.
It is a huge decision. But my youngest son, Chase, walked down one day and announced he was going to get into acting. And I was terrified because that business is so hard and cruel but we're like, we'll support you 100%. So then he gets the lead in all the school plays and like never acted. And then he goes out. And so he did this series and we are awaiting some good news on now that the strike is over on the fulfillment or the continuation of his series. But he made this movie last year with Lucy Hale, this romantic comedy based on this book. And the trailer came out yesterday. And the first thing it's called Which Brings Me to You. And I was shocked because you never know if he's going to be in the trailer because he's not one of the two leads, but he's got a significant kind of story element. And he's in the trailer like 3 times. So I'm screaming at home and I'm texting him and he's asleep. And I'm like, your trailer is out. You're in it. And of course, 3 hours later, he's like, I just woke up. That's great. Oh, I can't wait to check it out. And then he's like, Dad, this is good. I'm like, it is good.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So yeah, he has a movie on the Disney Channel called Chang Can Dunk, which is a great coming of age story that the writer director just really, it's basically an autobiographical movie. And because Chase played basketball, we came from that world of competitive youth basketball. So look, it's great. I can't even tell you how it's so funny. I won't say exact names, but he'll be reading for some of these directors that you and I know, but I'm not going to identify them because it'll give away.
God bless. Good luck to him.
They'll come out and they'll go, Dad, have you ever heard of this director? I'm like, you're reading for that person? And he's like, yeah, is that person important? I'm like, shit.
A little bit.
I'm like, bro. I'm like, I may have my ear up against the room but anyway. So yeah, I'm really proud of my kids. They're and love being a parent with joy. We have had the best time raising a family. And again, family is so important this time of year, the holidays, Christmas coming up. So Billy, I just love that we're both still in the business. And you know what? I gotta be honest. I love being the old guy, the older guy. Like we're not the oldest guy.
We're ourselves the old guard now.
Yeah, the old guard.
The old guard.
Yeah. Right? Remember when we were the new guard? We're the old guard.
Yeah, we were the young punks.
We were. And now, and Billy, I'm gonna tell you, man, we still got tricks. We still got moves.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Rob, Rob, do you ever think that people like you and I, that we don't get involved in any of this gossipy bullshit? So, do you ever think if we look back 30 years ago that you and I would be like the adults in the room?
No, I didn't.
You and me.
But I have become extremely mature. No. Because I just, there's 11 other versions of me that imploded. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't know what happened to me, but at some point, like, okay, my buddy Marat, he'll go on You know Marat, my
Yeah, I love Marat. Yeah, Marat.
He told me 10 years ago. We were on the phone. And he said, Rob, you told me. So this is, 2013. He's like, Rob, I remember what you told me like 6 years ago. He's like, never, ever say anything in a text or an email that can come back to haunt you. Don't imply, don't threaten, don't lose your temper. And I'm like, wow. I mean, there were certain rules of engagement early on, Billy. Like nobody has that email from me. Nobody has that crazy, like, I know.
You never have to whisper to anyone about anything.
Yeah.
That's a great way to live.
And the other thing is comics afford you the ability to be a hermit. I can be just alone in my own little world with my imaginary friends making comic books. And like you said, I saw all these, what I call harumph. Today was a lot of harumphs. I'm going to harumph. I'm going to take a mighty position and call this guy out. What a doucher. You go like,
who cares? Nobody cares.
You know what? Move on with your day. Don't you have some work to do?
Yeah.
And the other day it was somebody else. And you know what, Billy? I don't weigh in. I go, I'm not
smart.
weighing into this bullshit. No way. I got shit to do. So we are the adults, babe.
Yeah.
More
well,
power.
Rob, I gotta tell you, boom. Yeah, I gotta tell you again, with all that toxicity, especially like going after a retailer and all that bullshit. Guys, get a life. It's the old Shatner thing. But Rob, we've gone way over. I know you're not feeling well. I have one last question, Scala, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Is that and this came from our own Brian Blevins. He says you have so many things in the works for the upcoming year.
Yeah.
Cash Carter and the sci-fi, great fucking title. Dude.
Thank you.
God.
Yeah.
The Defiance, also great. And one that I'm really mad at. He's got a new character called Airborne.
Isn't I love that. That is the best. That is the best.
And I'm like,
no, air, like
Think of that.
I don't know. I was airborne. I don't know.
Billy, it was in the beginning. So 2020, if I had to watch those doctors one more time in the pandemic say, it's airborne. And I grabbed my page and I said air, like HEI air, like an air, and then born, like with an, and I got to do something with this. And so I've said that will be my
title.
Like that will be
a flipping COVID title.
It was born in COVID, but no. Look, here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell you, Billy. There's some stuff that I've been sitting on that when it comes out, people are going to. There is stuff. People have come to me and put these. I'll call them a deal for lack of a better time. But the talent and the people behind this stuff it's enormous. It's incredible. I can't share it until 2024. But I've also become really good, like just not sharing anything. Like I'm good sitting on. It used to be so hard for me to sit on stuff. Now I'm like,
suspense is good.
Yeah.
Suspense is
Well,
good.
that's what Brian wanted to know, Blevins wanted to know was like, what are you most excited about? But you know what? You're gonna have to wait to either Robservations or 2024 when you launch it yourself, when you do it on your whatnot. That's you're gonna have to wait.
And I'm also gonna say that do not for 1 minute sleep on Deadpool 3 is going to blow people away. I was on set in June before the strike. And nothing that I saw there has leaked out. And the stuff that I saw there, I was like, oh shit. And I just want people to know that even though there's these paparazzis with their telephoto lenses spoiling some of the stuff, there's so much stuff that is going to surprise you. Like there will be plenty of surprises when people go to see that movie, because it is chock full of incredible fun stuff. And again, that those movies are very near and dear to me for obviously all sorts of reasons.
Hell yeah, man.
But no, I'm just so glad that they're still going to make the summer date and be out in July. So that'll be really fun. I only do 2 shows a year now, so I know I'll see you in San Diego, because I only do San Diego and New York, because like I said, I got too much work to do. It's
good to spend more time with the family, especially your daughter going off to school next year and all. And we know how important that is.
Really, look, I put off Neil for Neil asked me in 2022 to come on the show, and I'm like, I'm busy, I can't, but I love you. Billy, and I wanted to come on, and Nile is so kind and nice. Thank you for being patient. Thank you for having me.
This is great. And I want to tell you, and I want to tell you, Rob, you had talked about turning the page, and I hope you realize this though, but you in particular, a lot of the Image guys too, you literally turned a page in comic book history.
We'll see.
And you should be proud of that always.
I'm proud of young Rob. He was a hyperactive spaz, and he did he had some fun. I think
that's right. The commercial.
Who wore Levi's?
Well, thank you, brother. Any last thing you want to say to anybody?
No, I just thanks for joining us tonight. This was super fun. I got clearance to carve this time out, and I'll be back with my podcast in 2024. I'm just trying to build out those shows right now so that people still think it's interesting, and so I maybe I have something to say. But again, thanks for having me, Billy. I can't wait for more brother. And all your projects. Nile,
yeah, we'll do that. We'll have some fun.
Thanks,
you and
Rob.
I in 2024. Let's do some fun stuff here.
I can't wait.
Let's become cover girls.
Let's do it, baby. We're gonna swap. We're gonna
Cover girls.
Yeah, we'll become cover girls.
Good.
Anyway,
All
thank
right,
you
everyone.
for watching. The great Rob Liefeld. Thank you, Rob, for coming on.
Great to
Merry
see you,
Christmas.
Rob.
Happy Hanukkah, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy holidays.
It's the last night. Light those candles.
Yep. We'll see you soon.
And we'll see you all next week. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Hey everyone, thank you for joining us on Pop XP. If you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button and also click the bell for notifications when we go live and we upload some awesome new content. Also, don't forget to head on over to Twitter and follow us at the Pop XP and over on Instagram at the Pop XP. Thanks again everyone, and we'll see you soon.